I'm Rachel and welcome back to my channel. So this is going to be a reading vlog, what I read in a week. This is the first time I'm doing this, so bear with. So it's Tuesday today and this will be uploaded for Sunday, and every Sunday you will see what I have read from Tuesday to Sunday even. So I've got a bit of a book haul to show you, some books I have got from local charity shops or from a little like bus stop which they've made into a library, and then we'll get on to what I am reading. If you've watched any of my videos in the past, you would know that I picked up a book by James Patterson, and I work in a charity shop, and James Patterson is an author which comes in a lot, but I've always thought it was like a masculine kind of read. I've always looked at the covers kind of thing and thought they're not for me. Like I say, you should never judge a book by its cover, but we all do. And I had this like really short book and I read it and I absolutely loved the writing style. So I've been picking up a lot of James Patterson and I have read more from himself. So the ones I've picked up are these ones. So these are the Alex Cross series. And this is a massive series. So this is Kiss the Girls, we've got X Cross, we've got Kill, and then we've got Criss Cross. And I don't know which numbers are what in the series. I did try to read Kiss the Girls. Wow, was this like weird and creepy. My phone is just ringing. This is really, really creepy. Yeah, so and I don't feel much of attachment to Alex itself, the actual detective in it. So I do think I need to read like the original book in the series to get to know Alex a lot better. So I picked some of these up from charity shops, and I picked one of them up from my mum's little library where my mum and dad live up north. They've changed a book. They've changed a bus stop into a little library, and it's so cute. A really, really nice little bus stop, what they've made into like, they've got like children's section, they've got a non-fiction, it's all categorised, it's absolutely lovely. So I brought some books up when I was last up there. Then I picked up another James Patterson book. This is The Private Deli. Now I don't know whether these are standalone ones where you can just read them on its own or you have to follow the series, because there is some more books like this. So Private Sydney, Private Vegas, Private Paris kind of thing. So I'm going to find out more about this and then find out if I can read this just as a standalone reading pleasure, then reading it from the beginning. So at the little bus stop library I picked up this one, which is Christmas at the Log Fire Cabin. So basically this is just like a Hallmark film in a book. So you follow the main character, who is Poppy, and her boyfriend has just proposed to her, and she's umming and ahhing what to do. So Harrison, her boyfriend, has given her 12 days to decide what she wants to do. In the meanwhile, her best friend really wants to set up a catering business, and an opportunity arises at a log cabin for them to do some catering. However, unbeknown to them, the owner of the log cabin is a very, very attractive person, very, very kind, and she's in a bit of a like, what do I do kind of thing. Like I said, this is just a Hallmark film for those cosy evenings in December where you just want a good book and forget about what's going on and just to read. So I'm looking forward to it. Then this book I'm really interested to read. So this is by Brian Bilston, Diary of Somebody. So this follows the character called Brian, and he is divorced and his ex-wife has moved on, and he feels like his son thinks he's a deadbeat, he doesn't like his job. So he thinks this year is the year where his New Year's resolutions are going to succeed, is going to make a success of his life. And each day he writes a poem and then he talks about that poem. What I mean is this is January the 1st. I have read this poem just to see if I like the writing style. So you get the poem and then you get a little bit about that poem and where he is in his mindset. And I just absolutely love this concept. And I love that you're going to go through the seasons of his life, and also the seasons of like spring, summer, autumn and winter kind of thing. So I really like this concept. Then I picked up this one, which is called Gift of Time. This is a memoir. This is about Rory, and he's just found out that his mum has got terminal cancer, and then he decides to move his mum in with him and his wife Chrissy, and they keep a diary each. So you've got a diary of the mum who's got terminal cancer, then you've got Chrissy, the wife, and then you've got Rory, who is the son. And you follow their diary entries and how cancer can affect everyone, not even the person who's suffering itself. They're coming to terms with the illness, coming to terms with how they're going to grieve, what's going to happen. And yeah, to say I'm looking forward to it is not, I don't like saying that, but I like the idea of how something like cancer or this illness, and knowing that there's going to be a death, how a family unit comes together and how they deal with it. I'm really intrigued with that kind of like relationship and how they move through it. So yeah, it is quite short, but with these kind of books I do like to invest a lot of time into them, because I think you are reading someone's personal grief, and yeah, so I know it's going to be moving, and hopefully I'll learn a lot from it. So the book I'm currently reading is this one, which is by James Patterson, Step on a Crack. This is the first one in the Michael Bennett series. I've previously read book 2 of this. Book 2 was a standalone book and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved the writing style. I ate it up. It was an amazing book. And within that, it's no secret or spoiler that his wife had previously died. And book 2 was about Michael Bennett getting back to his job, about trying to get some normality back into his children's life, because he does have 10 children. And I wanted to know more about his children, and I wanted to know more about his wife Maeve, because you just knew she was like the epicenter of the whole family dynamic, and she seemed a really unique, friendly person, and I wanted to find out more about her. So this book, on page 77, I found out so much about the woman herself, and even though she's just in a she is in a hospital bed currently, even from a hospital bed she's navigating the family dynamic. And yeah, it's just an amazing book. You've just had like the killer on the run as well. So basically the US president's wife has just been killed. We now know she's been food poisoned. She had a peanut nut allergy, and one of the chefs, who wasn't a chef, put some nuts in, and she's had an epileptic fit and she's died from that allergy. So you've got then the funeral, what was happening, and something's happened at that funeral now. So that's where we are. So it's a really good concept, because you've got Michael Bennett who's losing his wife, at the same time you've got the president who's lost his wife, and then you've got this killer on the run. So these two stories are going to intercollide, and I'm guessing Michael Bennett has to be on the job because he's the man for it, kind of thing. So yeah, I'm really interested in this, and I'm quite enjoying it. And the bookmark I've chosen is Paddington Bear, because it's the 20th of September, and yesterday we had the Queen's funeral, and I think Paddington Bear is just a fitting bookmark. On in the day, I've done some jobs and I've sat and read some book with a coffee, and I'm on 177 chapter 48, and I'm really enjoying it. I love the writing. It's a quick, easy read, and I just love being in it, and I'm getting to know the information which I want to know about his wife and about how much she means to him. That bit is really incredible. I love how I'm finding things out which I already know in book 2, but I'm knowing more about it. But there's a massive thing which is really bothering me. Mike Bennett and his team's meant to be like amazing, and they've realised that this kidnapper, so basically the concept is there's a kidnapper who's kidnapped the president and some celebrities and then some A-list stars and like sports stars. They're searching for hostages in this cathedral, and it's been done to a T. Like, they know everything about it, how the church runs, where to sit. They've put explosives near the door. It's like a military operation. So that's made that Mike Bennett realise that they must have known that there was this funeral was going to happen, and the way it's been planned must have been planned for months, years in advance. So therefore, the president's wife's murder, the president's wife's death is no accident. It must have been planned. She must have had an anaphylactic shock on purpose. So, and Mike Bennett has gone, this is no accident. This must mean that Catherine Hopkins must have been murdered because they knew too much information about it. Me, just being a reader, the first thing I would do if you've made that like discovery, why not go to the restaurant where she had the anaphylactic shock and start questioning like the chefs and the management to see if like any new chefs were in? Did a chef become poorly? Is there anything suspicious about the kitchen? Because Catherine and the president always went to this restaurant because she found it the safest restaurant to go into. The police wouldn't know that unless they question the president, which they haven't questioned about Catherine at all. They've just questioned about how, because he's been released, how, yeah, and it's annoying me because in the other book, Mike Bennett was like on form, but is he not being on form because obviously everything going off with his wife? I don't know, but it's really infuriating me. Well, I should have held that thought, because if I just turn the page on 179, hey boss, I said, remember when I said about Carolyn Hopkins, my hunch about her so-called accident? What about going to the restaurant where it happened? It's only 3 blocks away. Yes, Mike. Good on you. It's only taken 24 hours for you to go to the restaurant, but it's heading to the restaurant. It's Wednesday and last night I stayed up late to finish this book, and oh my goodness me, this is an amazing read. So side note from like this camera's all wobbly. So side note from like the kidnapping and all that, I wanted to read this book because I wanted to know more about Michael Bennett as the main protagonist in this, and know more as him as a character and understand about his wife and his children. And oh my goodness me, it's incredible. There was a line in this book which Michael Bennett said to his dying wife, and it just was like, oh, like that. The writing is absolutely fantastic in some parts. It's such an easy read. Like, I mean, there's some bits in here which are a bit gory, you know, not going to lie, but nothing scary or anything like that. It's just a bit like, oh, gross kind of thing. So that was amazing to find out more about Michael Bennett. I'm not going to tell you anything because I really want you to read this for yourself if this is something you want to do. But the kidnapper's story and how that was written was amazing, because I didn't understand how or why or who the kidnapper was and this gang of people was. And it was only until like the final bit that it like clicked, and it was just incredible, like absolutely fantastic how, you know, how the ending came together, and it was amazing, like 5 stars. Like I said, I was a bit annoyed halfway through that I was like, there's some vital information here and no one's taking it on board, but it didn't really matter at the end of the day because that information was absolutely pointless. But I just thought it was a feed that needed to go down with. But yeah, 100% love this series. So I've read book 1, I've read book 2, so now I'm on the hunt for book 3. I've had like time to ponder on what I'm going to read next, so I'm really excited to kickstart this So this is the Diary of Somebody, and I think this will be a quick read. I know it's a hardback, so it's quite hard to like carry around with me, but I think this will be a quick read because obviously it's mixed media, it's in a diary form, and poems as well, so it'll be quite a quick read. And yeah, so that's going to be my next book to read. So it's Thursday and I've got 10 minutes before I need to head to work. So I'm just finishing off my coffee. So I'm going to read some more of this book. I started this last night and I've read the whole section of January, so I'm on to February now. So the concept of this, what I get from it is, it's very much like a male version of a Bridget Jones's diary. It's about this man called Brian. He's split up with his wife and he has a son. And he's a bit in a rut, basically. And he goes to a poet club, and hence why he writes poems every day in this. And some of the poems, you laugh out loud with them. Some of them are like, you need an English degree to understand them. But so far, it's quite good. But like I said, if you like Bridget Jones's diary, then so far it's given me those kind of vibes. So we'll see what I make from it. So far, so good. I've just come back from work and I needed to go to the doctor's just to make sure that the prescription had gone to the pharmacist for Grace's new prescription, Grace's new medicine anyway. And I had to walk by a charity shop and I thought, you know what, I'm going to call in, and they had some James Patterson books. Well, that's just one of them dropped. So I picked up a hardback version of the Private series, which is India, and yes, that's another one to my collection. This was only 50p for a hardback. That's incredible. And then the other one I will pick up in a minute. And the other one is by Peter James, and someone in my charity shop is an avid reader. He comes in all the time and we talk about books. It's lovely. And he said if I like James Patterson, then I should give Peter James a go because he's on the same kind of writing style. So I, in that same charity shop, picked up this one, which was Peter James' Need You Dead. So I'm quite interested to read this. Morning, it's Friday. I've read some more of my book last night and I've just read some more this morning before I head to work. So I'm about 15% into this and I'm quite enjoying it. It's very much a slow burner book, so there's not much plot driven from this. It's more character based, which I am personally loving. So just a bit of a recap about it, what I've learned so far. I won't give any spoilers or anything like that, but this is about a man called Brian. He's got an ex-wife called Sophie and he's got a teenage son from that marriage called Dylan. And it's wrote in like, I mentioned it before, like a Bridget Jones's diary-esque. You start this book on January the 1st, and like us all, we have all these expectations. This is going to be our year, this is what we want to do, and then we're only in February and we can see some of those resolutions not happening. Like he promised himself he was going to write a poem a day. Comes, I think it was the 3rd of January, and he forgot to write a poem. So he's a bit of a woeful character. I want someone to like shake him up a little bit and just see what he's got ahead of him. He's got a roof over his head. He's got a job. Yes, he doesn't enjoy his job, but it pays his bills. And he's got a loving son kind of thing. But he's in a bit of a, I think it's just a bit of a low in his life. You can see his ex-wife Sophie has moved on to a new lover called Stuart, and Stuart is being the all-time romantic and showering her with flowers, and she's posting it all over Facebook, so he feels a bit like that's been rubbing in his face. Dylan always talks about how good Stuart is and what he can offer and everything like that, so he feels like he's a failing father. And then he loves poetry, like that's his like favourite thing to do. And even at his poetry club where he thinks he's good at his poets, that there's this other guy called Tom Salt who is just amazing and Tom makes Brian feel like he's absolutely worthless. And we've just found out that Tom has got a publishing deal to make one of his poets into print. So as you could expect, Brian's feeling a bit rubbish. I'm loving the writing style of this. So it's very much dry humour, and I couldn't picture. I've read some books before with this kind of humour with it, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And then, as I was reading the front of the book, there's a blurb from Adam Kay, and I was like, that's it. If you've ever read It's Going to Hurt by Adam Kay, then that kind of dry humour is in this book, and it very much reminds me of an Adam Kay writing style. And I'm really enjoying this book. Some of the writing as well is beautifully wrote. Some of the poems which Brian has wrote in here, and some of Brian's poems are like, you can laugh out loud at them. Some of them are a bit woeful, and it make you think. So overall, it's got a good selection of things in this book. I think it's because I'm coming from a book which was very fast paced, like your James Patterson books, and it's all go, go, go. Whereas this one is more like a slower paced, but you're learning, it's more characters, and you're getting to know Brian as a person, and I'm really interested in that. What I really did find is that, I don't know about you, but I always think January is a very long month, and I've got to say, January's chapter felt like it was never ending. So I like how the author made January feel like a very long, dragged out month kind of thing, and you couldn't wait for February to appear. So I really do like that writing, that the way the author has incorporated that into it. So it's Sunday now. I've come back from holiday, put all that away, I've had my lunch, and I've just sat down and read a few more pages, and I want to get this vlog uploaded and out. So I'm on page 128. So I've read James Patterson's book, which was a 5-star, and I am now 35% through this book, and yeah, I'm really enjoying it. I'll have it done probably in the next few days, so you can catch my thoughts and feelings, what I thought about this book, next week. But sneak peek, at this moment in time, I would put it down for a solid 3. A book which is really good, and a book which I would recommend, but I don't think it'd be a book which stays with me for like a long time, and it don't give me like, I want to pick it up because I enjoy reading, but it's not a book where I'm like really invested in seeing how this goes, because I think what this book has taught me is I do prefer a very good plot, and this is very much a character-based book, which sometimes I don't mind, but with this it's the same. There's not much happening. It's the same kind of thing each month, and I'm in April now, and we're only getting to the start of like, you know, a bit more of Brian. So yeah, a solid 3, and we'll see how it goes. So I hope you've enjoyed this reading vlog, and yeah, so I'll see you next week. So as always, sending huge positive thoughts. See you soon. Bye.